Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I'm going to share a few tips to help you keep your photos as the focus of your scrapbook page while still keeping a balance with patterns and ephemera. I've also been asked many times to share how I print on cards and stickers, so I've added a little bonus tutorial for you to try. Today I am working on a winter scrapbook layout using some photos of my daughter. I just love these selfies she took, so I snagged a few of my favorite Echo Park papers and accents to document them. One of the most common questions I am asked is about my typed journaling cards. So at the end of this video, I am going to share one of the ways that I add printed journaling to my pages. As you can see, I have already gone ahead and cut out a few of the pattern papers that I will be using. Two of the pages were gutted, as some like to call it, to prevent any of that paper in the center from being wasted. This is just a simple way to save some of your favorite paper patterns for another half of a layout or another project. I don't usually place these papers down on a solid piece of cardstock, but I wanted a white frame around the edge of the layout, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I cut the background paper about 1/16 of an inch smaller so that I have a frame that matched my photos. I often create matching frames like this to help draw your eye to the parts of the page I want you to see. The leaf pattern paper here has been cut to about 10 3/4 inches, and its pattern matches the leaf die that I have chosen to use for this page. I'm going to show you that later on. The blue paper is about 10 by 10 and it will be placed here in the center. Alright, now I have the bare bones of the layout in place. I have chosen a few other patterns for this layout. This bold plaid pattern is going to go well with the florals I chose. I always love using florals on layouts of my daughter. This pale blue plaid pattern matches the lighter leaf blue pattern I chose and is going to soften up the right side of the page. The photos are going to be placed like this on the layout, but before I tack them down, I want to add some snowflakes in the background. I'm just using a pencil to lightly draw some tick marks where my photos are going to be, then I'll grab a few supplies to add some texture paste to this layout. I have placed a magnetic mat under my layout, and I'm going to use these magnets to hold my stencil in place. As you can see, I did mask off parts of the layout so I don't get any texture paste on the other papers. I'm going to start in the upper right corner and add some snowflakes in a random pattern that will show up behind the photos. Now, if you are new to texture paste or a little uncertain about mixed media's unpredictability, this is one of the easiest ways to use texture paste. As a beginner, you want to choose stencils with simple patterns and very little details. After you have secured your stencil in place, start in a small section of the page and add just a little bit of texture paste at a time. On this page, I'm not filling in every little snowflake. I'm just adding paste over a few of the images to give it a soft, broken look. As you add the texture paste to your stencil, you want to hold the plastic knife at an angle so that you don't accidentally catch the stencil and end up with some texture paste underneath. A little bit of paste goes a long way, so start with just a little bit and slowly add more as you go. On this layout, I used those tick marks to help me determine where I want the snowflakes to show under the photos. Most of these snowflakes are going to be covered up, but that little bit of opaque texture is going to look just like falling snow behind all of my pictures. Even though this paste is opaque, I applied a thin layer so it will have a softer translucent look. I want to add a few bright white dots on this page, so I'm going to do that with some gloss spray. This spray can get a bit messy, so instead of spraying it directly on my page, I'm just going to remove the cap and add a few splatters over the snowflakes. This method gives me a little bit more control with that gloss spray. It's going to create bright white glossy dots between the snowflakes. All right, I'm going to set this aside to dry. I'm going to wash all of my tools and my stencils so that the texture paste doesn't dry on them. And then I'll show you how the rest of this page came together. This took about 15 minutes to dry. While I was off camera, I added some white stitching around a few of the edges. I do like to hand stitch my layouts, so I only added it where it's going to show, so it saved me a little bit of time. I would use a sewing machine, but they seem to hate me, and I haven't found one that works well for paper crafting. At this point, I'm going to start placing the rest of the pattern papers onto the page. I started with the deep blue plaid pattern on the right to give this page a warm, cozy feel. Then I added a floral strip, and over the top I added a light blue plaid paper. I trimmed down that smaller strip at an angle. To create a nice clean cut, I just cut along one of the plaid stripes on the paper so that I have a nice clean cut on the page. The lighter blue does really stand out, but I chose it so that I could bring over some of the lighter blues onto this side of the layout. It also creates a nice anchor for your eye to land when you're looking at that main photo. I'm going to adhere the two 4-inch photos vertically on the left. These have been backed with some white cardstock to give them a little bit of a frame. The larger photo was backed in white cardstock and a deep blue cardstock from the Echo Park collection. I'm going to adhere it to the page using some foam tape so that I have room to tuck some elements underneath. Using some dies in my collection, I have cut a few tags from pattern papers. I'm going to place 2 of these above the photo here, then adhere them in place. Tags are a fun element to tuck behind your photos, and they add a little more visual interest than a strip of paper. I've added quite a few patterns on the right side of the page, and I want to balance those out with a few patterns on the left. So I've gathered some flags from the Ephemera pack, and I'm going to fold each one down just a little bit to create a banner. I'm going to be adding some faux stitching to these flags using metal dies. Dies like this are great for adding the look of stitching to your project, and I love how it looks on flags and pennants. So let me show you how I was able to add the stitching to every flag at once using my die cutting machine. I used a little bit of Post-it tape to hold the flags in place. Then I lined up the die on top of the flags and used some more tape to hold that die in place. I ran this through my Sizzix using the recommended thin die sandwich. And as my friend Erin would say, voila, you have some faux stitched flags. Using stitching dies is a great way to add stitching to your projects without having to get out a sewing machine or needle and thread. When I make banners on my pages, I like to fold the top down slightly to give it the look of hanging flags. I'm going to pop each one of these up with some foam dots to give it a little dimension and give me some room to tuck some twine underneath. These little foam dots are my new favorite. I'll put a link to them in the description below. I am just loving the little tabs on these. When you have long nails, big fingers, and have drunk way too much coffee, it can be difficult to get the backing off of anything, and these little tabs are a sanity saver. As I lay out the flags, I'm choosing to place them so that the darker flags alternate with the lighter colored flags. Each of these patterns are mimicking other patterns on the page, and it's bringing some balance to the design as I start to form my visual triangle. Now that I've added an element to the top, I need to add some elements to the bottom to balance out the weight on the page. I've chosen some embellishments for my layout, which include some floral pieces like these little jars of flowers in a wood box, and a plaid title sticker which matches the plaid on the page. Since I added wood grain to the design, I need to bring in another wood grain element to balance it out. So I'm going to bring in a sticker. Now, I didn't purchase the journaling card kit with this pack, so I'm just going to create my own with this sticker and a piece of cardstock. As you can see, I did add some more faux stitching to the bottom, and in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how I print my journaling on this little card. I wanted to add some more floral elements to this layout. So I grabbed a floral design from the sticker page and cut some leaves from patterned paper using the matching Echo Park dies. I'm trying to find a way to make this flower fit under the photo. I want to hide those green leaves a bit so I don't add another color to the page, but no matter how I try to angle this flower, I keep covering up part of that one photo and I'm covering up too much of my journaling box. I know that you have all faced this dilemma. You find the perfect matching sticker or die cut and you spend a ton of time trying to make it work. This flower was not only too big for the space, but it was drawing my eye away from the photo and it was a little bit too bold for the page. In the end, I decided that it wasn't going to work. I do like the leaves and the texture they bring to the design, so I'm going to move a few of them to the top of the photo and I'm going to find another element to layer over those leaves at the bottom. To fill that space, I've decided to add a few little lacy snowflake stickers. I've chosen 2 of them, and I'm going to layer them right on top of each other with some foam tape to create a 3-dimensional element. I love how this looks and how it's balancing out the page. It doesn't cover up too much of the photo or cover up too much of my journaling box. I do feel like it needs some darker blue, so I'm going to add a 3rd snowflake and layer it in the back. I really like how this looks now. To create a little more weight at the base of the page, I'm going to add another sticker that says "Walking in a Winter Wonderland." This is helping to balance out a few of the darker colors I have added, and it gives another place for your eye to rest. To finish off the layout, I add a few snowflake stickers around the page and a little sentiment on top of the snowflake that says "Winter Day." I'm also going to tuck a few more partial leaf die cuts above the layered snowflake and a few little snowflake stickers placed randomly on the page. Now I'm going to move on to my journaling and show you how I print directly onto that little card. Alright, so I am in Word and I'm going to show you a really quick way to create your journaling. In Word, there is an option to add a text box, and in most word processing programs, there is a text box option. Go ahead and add your text box. Now you're going to see that there is an option to change the size of your text box. And you're going to change the size of your text box to match your pocket card or your tag or your sticker or the item that you are going to be printing onto for your journaling. So the card that I have is sized at 1 3/4 inches high by 2.5 inches wide. I'm going to go ahead and type in just some random journaling here. So at this point, you can change your text and you can change your font, you can change the size, you can do all kinds of things that you need to do for your journaling. All right, once you have finished adding all of the journaling, we want to get rid of the line around the text box because we don't want that line to show up on our printed item. So we're going to go up here to Shape Format. In each word processing program, it's a little bit different. In Word, it is under Shape Format. In other programs, you will have to find out where the shape fill and the shape outline are located. I'm going to go here to Shape Outline and I'm going to choose No Outline. So it's not going to print the line around my text box. Now, if you are printing onto a shape sticker or a tag sticker that you own, you can go here to the Insert option, and under Shapes, there are various shapes available. So right here we have a circle shape, and again, you can change the size to match the size of your circle sticker or your circle journaling icon that you have. Then we're just going to go ahead and right-click and hit Add Text. And then you can add whatever text you want to that circular shape. And then you need to go back up to your shape format. You need to change that fill to no fill and the shape outline to no outline. And as you have added all of the text, it will go into a circular shape here. So it will print perfectly on your circular tag. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you're going to place this on a piece of paper so that you can print it perfectly on your printer. So I have gone ahead and printed out my journaling on some standard copy paper. I used the text box in Microsoft Word to help me size this to the same measurement as my white cardstock card I cut for this layout. Now I want to place this card directly over the printed text. I'm going to add a piece of Post-it tape along the base of the card to help me hold it in place as I use a light to line everything up. Now watch your eyes. I'm going to bring over one of my film lights. Usually I just hold the paper up to the light, but I want you to be able to see what I'm going to do. If you own a light box, you can use it for this step, but I usually just hold my card up to a nearby light source and use that light to help me line the card up with the printed text. Once the card is centered where I want the text to print, I use that temporary tape to hold it in place. Now I'm going to use some more tape to secure the card to the paper. My printer rolls the paper inside the device, so I need to make sure there aren't any places that this card will catch inside my printer and cause a malfunction. When you're placing down the Post-it tape, make sure it doesn't get placed anywhere where your text will print, or you'll end up printing on the tape, not your card. All right, I'm going to go run this downstairs to my printer and print everything out. Here is the printed card, and as you can see, the text printed exactly where I needed it to be. I'm going to remove it from the paper and remove the tape from the card and adhere it to my layout right over that wood frame sticker. Now it looks just like a little journaling card under my photo with a little faux stitching detail. All right, I'm going to go off camera and add a few more details to this layout, and then we'll take a look at the finished page. So here is the finished winter scrapbook layout. I did add a little bit of twine behind the flags. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to the camera so you can see how I did that. I just took some glue dots and just tucked the twine right there behind those flags. I also added this tiny little best day sticker because I thought it was super cute and it goes with the title really well. You did see me add the journaling to this page, and I also added a few more stitches here over on the right side. I really like how all of this layout came together and how it creates a really beautiful page that focuses on the photos. I'm going to show you a few photos of this layout so you can see those details I added to the page. I hope that today's project taught you how to keep your photos as the focus of the page and how to create balance with patterns and ephemera. Even though most of you probably write out your journaling on your scrapbooks, I know that many of you have wondered how I print on cards and stickers, so I added that little bonus tutorial for you to try. If you would like to learn more about this project and the supplies I used, I have posted a link to my website and a list of the supplies in the description below. If you would like to view more scrapbooking projects, you can click on that playlist above and check out a few more of my creations. While you're at it, go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you're notified when I add another tutorial to this channel. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.